Welcome to the RSP Film Room. I'm Matt Waldman with the Rookie Scouting Portfolio, and today we're going to take a much-anticipated look at Penn State running back Saquon Barkley. Now, you can check out all the glorification videos that you want on Barkley, and you're going to see that he's got shiftiness, he's got size, he's got strength, he's agile, he's speedy, he's got open field vision and creativity. But, you know what? So did C.J. Spiller. So did Bryce Brown. So did Lawrence Maroney. So did many backs who were great athletes, but not great running backs on the Sunday level. Because when they face NFL talent, are they going to be able to do some of the things that we're seeing right now on the screen? Sometimes yes, but maybe not often enough, and at the risk of costing their offenses, and that costs them time on the field with coaches who want to see offenses stay on schedule. So we're going to take a look at Barkley in more of a light where we're going to talk about his flaws. And he has some. Doesn't mean that it's a death knell for him that he has some flaws that are shared with Lawrence Maroney and C.J. Spiller, because LaShawn McCoy and Jamal Charles are two recent examples of backs who also had the lack of maturity with certain types of decision-making that really matter in the NFL. They corrected them quick enough to be able to make the grade and become excellent players that we all thought they should become when we watched them on Saturdays. Alvin Kamara is another recent example of a guy who's learned to be able to be more mature with his decision-making. So as good as these plays are, we're going to watch a bad box score game against the Ohio State Buckeyes. And the reason we're doing that is that I love to grade bad box score games. They often are an indication of how good the player's judgment is, because when he's facing athletes who may be as good or better than him on the other side of the ball, or as good or better than his supporting cast, you get a chance to see whether that player makes mature decisions and keeps his offense on schedule, or you also get a chance to see his athletic ability within context of other athletes. And I've often given great grades to running backs who, average less than 2 yards a carry. Matt Forte against LSU, Ahmad Bradshaw against Tennessee, Joseph Adai against Florida, against Auburn. I've seen players who I've given high grades to who looked bad in the box score, but their decision-making was great. Likewise, you often see guys who look great on in highlights, but at the same time don't make the decisions you need, and it becomes more of a concern. And we're going to see some of that with Barkley today. We're going to begin in a moment here with probably the best play that Barkley executed against Ohio State, and that's the opening kick return. So here's Barkley. He's going to take the ball probably at about the 3 or 4 here, fields it well, and he's going to spot the two double teams. Let's go back and take a look at it. You're going to see the two double teams coming up right about here. All right, so you've got one double team to the backside, one coming to the front side. He spots the defense downfield coming outside this double team on the right. So he decides he's going to veer towards the inside. As he looks inside, he took a quick look inside and saw the position of the defender there and bounces it to the outside. And that allows number 7 to peel off to this backside contain, make the block. This opens up a crease, and now it's just about Barkley's speed. And he's able to outrun 2 angles here, and they're the only 2 angles that are going to matter at this stage. Great speed here. It's the biggest play of the game. If you're looking for a significant box score stat, you've got your 96, 97-yard kick return at the opening part of the game. But again, is this going to tell you about his decision-making between the tackles? And the answer is absolutely not. So let's take a look at some of the more critical plays that really translate well to what they expect him to do in the NFL. And this play is a good example of that. You're going to watch Barkley. There's a trip set. You've got a pulling guard working to the left. You've got your tackle working upfield, and they are going to take on these 2 linebackers, and that's going to give him a crease because the quarterback is working this outside as a potential option. That widens the defensive end to take on number 9, McSorley. Here's the pitch, and look at this crease forming from the pulling guard and the tackle. Now you have 2 safeties, upfield at each hash. He should be able to take this in a straight line upfield. He might get some pursuit from number 33, this linebacker slot defender hybrid that Ohio State likes to use. And you're going to see him get upfield here. There's the straight line. But Barkley sees this safety and sees the angle of the safety and decides, I'm going to try and cut across the face of this safety because I think I can get him working, from right to left, work his momentum against him and cut upfield, pick up a block, and maybe score on this play. So you see the creativity, the likelihood of what he's thinking here based on other runs that we've seen from him in other games where he's been successful cutting across the face of defenders. But here's the thing. You're near the red zone. Get into the red zone. Have a positive play. You've got 3 yards right here. You're about to get 3 yards. You still have room to split the linebacker and the safety here. You're going to get 6 to 8 yards at least on this play if you do that. At best, you might beat both of these guys up the field and have a one-on-one with the safety who's off this left hash and out of the screen, and you might score. Instead, you go for the big-time moment here, and you try and cut across the face, but this defender's staying square. He's not fooled. He's not sliding inside like an over-eager schoolboy, So he's trying to cut across here, and he slips because, again, this cut's a tough one. I mean, you're wider than the angle of your shoulders, and when you get your feet way outside your shoulders, you're going to fall down. He falls right into the arms of number 4. Right here. And see, he's already off balance. And he ends up gaining 4 on this play. Maybe 5 if they give him forward progress. But he could have had, I think he probably could have had, realistically, 8 to 10 yards on this gain easily if he just headed in a straight line and split the defenders that were there. And you can see, there you go, falling down right into the arms. This is another play where maturity really has to come into play. 1st and goal from the 6. You're up by 7. Get positive yards. Keep your team in a situation where they can keep their playbook expanded as much as possible in the red zone. Instead, what you're going to see from Barkley is that he works around the puller. There's the backside wing back who's getting pushed down the line. There's still a crease here. If he just hits this crease and gets to the line of scrimmage, he's probably going to get 2 to 3 yards on this play. He slides off the wing back. But he reads the position of this defender, doesn't like what he sees, even though if he continued in a straight line, his blocker had the leverage to push number 11 outside. And he could have gone up the middle and would have gotten hit by 33 or the safety here for a short gain. Good enough. But he decides he's going to bounce it outside. That's fine. If you're going to bounce it outside, stay outside. Keep going out there, even if you lose 2 to 3. Well, I understand why you're trying to bounce it at least. But he takes that step, sees the flash of 59 who was working back upfield, and decides, let me reverse field. And he reverses field directly into the backside pursuit. And there are plays where this works. But this is not that play. And he should know this from the beginning, and I'll tell you why. Because when you're getting a play where the design is to work left to right, and you're already deeper in a crease from left to right, and you already had a defender working upfield outside here, well, guess what? When you get that deep in the hole and try and spin, and you haven't even stretched the field to the right side, he's nowhere near threatening the right edge. Because if he threatened the right edge a little bit more, and he has no room to do this is not that type of play. But if it were, if he was stretching it to the right side and reversed his field to the left, then this backside pursuit would be flattening out down the line, and he would have been able to loop around them. And he'd have more of a runway to do it. This is not that play. This is all very tightly compact. This is a compressed area where he's done nothing to press that outside edge. And that means that those defenders on backside pursuit aren't going to be in a position for him to widen around them. So this was a bad decision from the get-go. And it's a bad decision from Barkley pre-snap to think that he could do that. And so what you're seeing is a guy who's taking one moment at a time and going, I can make that guy miss. Well, no, I can't. Well, maybe I can make this guy miss. Oh, well, no, I can't get outside now. Oh, maybe I can make this guy miss. And, oh, now I can't do anything. That's taking the play moment to moment rather than thinking it from a broad standpoint and going, look, I'm at the 9. I'm in a play situation where I can't reverse field around guys unless I have enough room working to the edge first to do that. In a tightly compact play, take what's there. This is a compressed area. Just go upfield. Get your 2 to 3. If you're going to bounce, continue to the outside. You might get back to the line of scrimmage because of this end who is working back upfield. Don't do this. Now, if you've watched a lot of Barkley highlights, you know that he's an excellent receiver. And this is a good example of him catching the ball. You're going to see him from a 3-by-2 empty set. He's going to work on this crossing route to the right hash. He's going to make a nice catch of the ball, gets his hands on it, arms extended. But again, decision-making, open field decision-making. Sometimes you just want to take what's there. And you're in a wide open space here, more wide open than you're going to see in the NFL in the middle of the field on a 3rd and 14. Maybe a 3rd and 25 you're going to get this. But 3rd and 14, highly unlikely because the linebackers are fast enough that they're going to not be worried about Barkley getting behind them, though it'll happen occasionally with a missed tackle here and there. But what Barkley does is he works towards the middle. He brings these 2 safeties inside from each hash, and that's good. He's pressing the field, and then he's going to try and bounce it to the outside, or at least it so appears. He's bringing in this far side safety inside, and he makes that bounce. This is good. Keep running to the outside. Keep going down the line horizontally towards the sideline along the 30. If you do that, you're going to get a one-on-one with this defender and maybe be able to beat him and get a long gain up the field. Instead, as strange as it seems, watch him drop his weight right there. He dropped his weight as if he was going to try and spin or turn or cut inside like he wants to split these 2 defenders, and he ends up getting wrapped and dropped. Now, some people may look at this and say, did he fall down? I don't think so. I think he just decides after that little bounce outside that he wants to try and drop weight and do something a little bit more dynamic. When he had a good 2 to 3 yards at least, he's going to make another 2 to 3 yard gain here, at least. I think he gains a lot more if he stayed in a straight path and worked outside. But for whatever reason, he sees something that he wants to try, and while sometimes that works, this was not that situation. And he needs to read this. So we've seen 3 runs from Barkley where the decision-making really hasn't been strong, either behind the line of scrimmage or between the tackles or in the open field. And here's a case where, now we're in the second quarter. You think, oh, he needs to, maybe he's been told to calm down a little bit. Don't try, take what's in front of you, Saquon. Just do that. If you do that, we'll be okay. Don't try for the big play all the time. You're putting us in bad situations. And here's a good example of just being a little bit more mature here. He works upfield. He sees the pulling block. That opens up the outside, kicks that out. He's got a push here. It's a small crease. He just decides, look, I'm going to drop my pads. I'm going to get downhill, and I'm going to push ahead. And yeah, I only get 2 yards on this play. But guess what? That's all right. 1st and 10, 2nd and 7. 2nd and 7 is better than 2nd and 14 or 2nd and 12. Get that 5-yard differential. That's fine. Keep your offense on schedule. That's a smart play. And this play that we saw before sets up another good example of just taking what's in front of you. You can get your kick out here from your wing back, and he's going to work inside of that. And then you're going to see him curl around that wing back's block and make a cut that he's able to get through the reach of 59, and he's just following his blocks here. He sees this open space inside of number 5, but he sees where number 5's position is. He doesn't try and cut it in between. He just bounces it outside, gets a block for number 3, and it's just all about his quickness and acceleration here. He's able to work outside number 9 and get the score. So this is just, hey, take what's there. Don't get too tricky. You've got an open crease here. Even though there's a defender sliding inside, just hit it. Just hit it and see what happens. You're fast enough. You're agile enough. You're shifty enough to avoid contact. There you go. You don't have to start your feet. You don't have to try and reverse field. Just use your pad level. Use your size. Use your burst. And things will open up sometimes. And if they don't, that's okay. You didn't lose us yards. This is an example of using your gifts in a more compressed situation. And this is fine. This is how you want to do it. You have penetration 2-3 yards into the backfield. You've taken one step from the exchange. You have a defensive tackle right up on you. Well, good job here of ducking through the wrap, stopping your feet, ducking through, spinning off of it, and then getting upfield to get to the line of scrimmage and then pushing for about 2 yards on the play. That's a great display of athletic ability. That's what top backs do in the NFL, that they're able to mitigate losses. Mitigate a loss. Don't increase it by trying to go for the big play in an impossible situation. And he didn't have much room to do that anyway on this play. But this is kind of the mentality that sometimes you have to have when the field's even a little bit more open to you in a down and distance situation where you can, keep your team in field goal range or in a good down and distance scenario so that the playbook can stay open. So let's take a look at some pass protection. I mean, he's shown some pass protection here and there in this game and in other games, and you're going to see some good elements. You're going to see some things he needs to work on. You have number 33, your linebacker, slot defensive back extraordinary here for Ohio State, who's going to be working off the edge. And you see the setup right here. Got a wide stance into the setup. He sets up early enough so that he can engage this defender. That's all fine. But he sets up too far to the outside, if you ask me. I've shown this type of a situation with Kareem Hunt against Cam Chancellor in the preseason where he sets up too far outside. Cam Chancellor's savvy enough to work inside of him and pressure Alex Smith and force Smith to the outside and throw an incomplete pass. It's because you want to set up inside out. You want to force that defender to take the edge as opposed to getting inside. He doesn't do that here. Well, 33 doesn't do much to change that. He's just going to take on Barkley just head on here. And Barkley, you can see he was still moving further to the outside as this starts to happen. And he's leaving all of this inside space here. On top of that, the defender, because he's not really going to alter his direction here, Barkley lowers his head. He lowers his head into the contact, leads with the shoulder, and then uses the hands to push. And he does slide the man outside. He does a very good job of that. So I like that he's able to at least use his hands somewhere through this strike and push the man outside. But you want to see Barkley do a better job of setting up inside and then also not leading with his head, not dropping his head here. When you drop your head like this, savvier defenders are going to take shorter strides here. They're going to be able to cut inside of this because when you drop your head, you can't see what you're hitting. And the defender can take advantage of that either by using that leverage where you dropped your head and pull the running back to the ground, or be able to put a move on him. So it's a good block from a statistical standpoint when you're tracking his percentage of successful pass blocks. That's good. But from an NFL lens of what a good block is from a setup to an initial punch to the NFL and what technique should be there, it's not good enough. It's not going to keep him on the field, and he's not going to win a lot of these matchups against savvier defenders. Now, I like this pad level from Barkley. You're going to watch him on his 3rd and 3. It's a short play. Again, not exciting like all of the, the highlight glorification videos you're going to see on Barkley, and some of those are well-deserved. But, these are the tough yards that you want to get. Watch him work through the block, see the line sliding to the right, press that, cut back, get the pads really low. Look how low his pad level is under number 33. And he's able to get his back low enough and then get his head up so that he can slide through that and get under 33 and come across. And he gets 4 yards on this play. And he begins this play where he drops his pads and his back in a almost parallel to the ground. This is really good pad level to get under. He starts at about a half a yard past the line of scrimmage. And he's able to glide right under the contact. This is like Edgerrin James kind of pad level here. And that's a high compliment coming from me because I love Edgerrin James pad level. And he does this a lot. It's just about decision making. If he's got a plan beforehand and he's not taking it 1 second at a time, and he's actually thinking about, okay, here's where I can do 1 second at a time, moment to moment type of running, and here's where I've got to have a bit of a game plan. I'm going to do this or this, and just stick with it. If he does that, he can be very productive. There are key moments where he is making decisions that need improvement, and we've seen a number of them, and this is another one, and this happens now in the 3rd quarter. So it's not like, oh, he was excited early on, and then he got, his bearings and, started to play with more composure because it was the big game. No, we're in the 3rd quarter. They have a 15-point lead, 1st and 10 from their own 6. This is one of those situations where you go, look, I'm going to take what I can get here. And if it's not a big opening, then fine, I'm going to take it. Even if I lose a couple yards, we're going to be okay here. Instead, he starts thinking of that moment-to-moment mentality. He's going to work towards this double team. He sees that crease is going to be, got leverage to the outside by the defense. He's also going to see that number 11 coming down the line on the wing back or the tight end has also got leverage, and he's got nothing here. So what do you do in this situation? Well, at the 6, your own 6, and you're up by 15, you just push into that pile, my friend. You just push into that pile and get a yard or two, or you lose a yard or two. It's still going to be 2nd and 12. You're not backed up in your own end zone as much as you would be as if you say, oh, you know what, I can bounce it outside here, even though this end has leverage on 71. He bounces outside and goes, whoa, that's not there either. Well, now he just saw that. So what do you do here? Go to the ground. Go to the ground or just take on this guy and just take your loss. You're going to lose 2 to 3 here. Fine. Nope. I'm going to reverse my field. Even though I haven't done much to get outside to flatten out number 6 or 8, I can't see it. It's number 8 on the back side here, to flatten him out and really wheel around. No, I'm going to spin around here, and I'm going to get hit at the 1 and drop just inside the goal line. Yeah, that's great. 2nd and 15 from your goal line. That's not wise play. As good as Saquon Barkley can be, you've got to do better, because in the NFL, you're going to be facing athletes like this. You're going to be facing more of them. You're going to be facing defenses smarter than these guys. You're going to be faced in situations where they do overwhelm your offensive line. And if you don't have a plan beforehand for, some sort of contingency about how that happens, and you're going, well, I can beat this guy. Well, no, I can beat that guy. Well, no, I can beat this guy. Oh, maybe I can't beat any of them. You're going to wind up in these situations. Your coach is going to be like, get on the bench, Barkley. I don't care how great you look on highlights. This is Sunday. These are men paying their mortgage here. Play smarter. And he will probably learn how to do it. I sure hope so, because he's a fantastic athletic talent who can catch the ball. He's a very good receiver, and he's very creative. But he's got to learn to rein in where that creativity extends. He can't just have boundless creativity, or he's going to put his team in boundlessly bad situations like this one, which was very close to being a safety. So that's Saquon Barkley, folks. He's an exciting runner. He is a dynamic, creative, feature-back prospect, but he's a prospect. No prospect is a sure thing. People are going to tell you he's a sure thing, but decision-making is a huge factor. What you want from a player is that he knows what he's supposed to do in every given situation. And the NFL is going to present more difficult situations where you might not be able to just bounce things outside all the time. Now, like we saw with Alvin Kamara, LaShawn McCoy, and Jamal Charles, you can learn, and you can learn fast, and hopefully he does. But we've also seen with C.J. Spiller, Bryce Brown, Lawrence Maroney, that sometimes they do not learn fast enough. And if you don't learn fast enough, you're going to wind up on the bench. Thanks again for watching. For more RSP Boiler Room videos and more RSP Film Room videos, you can check out my YouTube channel, the RSP Film Room, and my site, www.mattwaldmanrsp.com.